Throughout my career, I have helped over 1,000 people to lose weight, get stronger, improve their health. Question what I always get is that if you take one person out of somewhere, what you can do for me and how am I able to help you? So in this series, I share what Gabrielle have achieved, how she thought about coaching, because she was one of the lucky winners of my free 3 months coaching applications on past December. In this series, Gabrielle is sharing her story.
My name is Gabrielle. I'm 54 years old and I live in Alberta, Canada. I found you on Instagram about 4 years ago when I started my fitness journey to get healthier as I age, because I suddenly realized it was quite important. I really appreciated your non-shaming methods of delivering valuable information that I've used over the last 3.5, 4 years of my journey. My relationship with food is that I love to eat. I love food, and I love to eat a lot of food. I find food not just comforting, but it's a way for people to connect. And for me, it's also learning about different cultures. So I love to explore foods. I love to meet people from other countries, ask them about their food, give me recipes. That's my relationship with food. I love food. My dieting history, there isn't much of one. I've never felt it right for me to do things like the Atkins diet or keto or low carb. I'm very much, always have been a person who believes in balance. And so a little bit of everything is important for your body. There's all sorts of things that different foods can give you. This is my opinion. So anytime I felt I needed to lose pounds, I would just eat less, right? Before it was a buzzword, I used lower caloric intake, but it was just by smaller portions. And it was never fun because you're always hungry. But, that's all I knew then. I know differently now. My expectations originally with this one-on-one coaching was that you were going to look at my exercise routine, give me a few tips on how to improve some areas to make sure I was targeting all the muscles. And then I was probably going to get an email once a week saying, hey, hope you're doing good, any questions kind of thing. That was my original expectations. What I got is a whole lot more.
Then how have been now in these 3 months? What did I tell to you, or what? How did you change your workouts since then?
Well, for one, I'm not trying to do it all at the same time. Mm-hmm. I was doing weightlifting and I was doing cardio, and the first little while. So I've been at it for 2 years before I won the contest. And for the first little while, there was progress, but then there wasn't as much. And I thought, I must not be eating properly, or I need to do more research. And I was really digging around for different exercises. I wasn't able to do my legs because I did running for my cardio, and I thought I need to give my legs a break, and I'm probably doing enough for my legs by running, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. So when I won the contest and you looked at my exercise regime and you were like, you're doing too much. You're not giving your time body to heal, to build, you're not giving yourself time. You're probably really struggling to have to get to the gym because there's going to be, you're going to do a run and then you're going to do some weights. And I resisted you in the beginning because that's the kind of person I am. Yeah. And you encouraged me. You're like, just try it for 3 months. You've got 3 months. It's not going to, and I thought, okay, fair enough. And it's been a game changer. Yes, my cardio is not as good as it was, partly because I got sick, but, and that was through no fault of your own. I just got COVID. But cardio is easy to build. It goes fast. And so, okay. And when you're doing muscle strength training, there's some cardio involved too. Like you don't realize it until you're doing, especially near the end of our 3 months, where you're saying do heavier weights but less reps. Turns out heavier weights makes you huff and puff a little bit.
Oh yeah, so, absolutely.
Yeah. So I started seeing more progress in my muscle definition, and why that's important to me is because that shows progress. So running progress is good, but muscle definition shows progress not just in how you look, but how you, what you can do. I used to have to roll my tires to my car and then lift them into my car. Now I can carry two tires, right? With the rim, one in each hand, and I can just launch them into the car. That's a huge progress. And my clothes fit differently. So my weight is 10 pounds lighter, but my clothes feel 30 pounds different.
Wow, that's amazing progress. Huge congrats. And this is one of the like kind of most common or kind of, I can't say it's a mistake, because obviously if you do everything, you still see some progress or you feel okay.
Right.
But now, like, let's say that if like initially, like that goal was to put a little bit that cardio on like kind of backseat and put that focus on building muscle. And now let's say that for the next, it has been 3 months. So let's say that now when cardio is still important, if you focus more, could put kind of that muscle building and strength training kind of on the maintenance and do it like minimum amount, and then focus more on cardio, let's say, then you have like, let's say 5-6 months in total amount of time, you have a lot more. You can get both of those results, but not just when you focus on one thing at a time, because they are so kind of different signals what you try to tell to your body. And that's the reason, like as you mentioned, like you had if I remember right, you had knee issues, problems with your like shoulders, everything. And now I don't know how you feel now about those all knee issues and shoulder pain.
So that's interesting, because the knee pain didn't hurt while I was running, and so I thought the running is not hurting my knee. And I went to see doctors and knee clinic, and they said my adductor, the inner ones? And abductor muscles were weak. And I thought, except I'm running, so they can't be that weak. And so I ignored the knee pain. It wasn't damaged. They'd done x-rays and everything. So I just ignored the knee pain. And then when you came along and said, let's focus on weight training, you put in leg exercises. I thought I was going to die. They were I realized in that moment that running does not it builds some muscle for sure. It does not build the muscles you need for your legs. And so my knee pain is now almost gone. It's still tender if I twist it wrong. But even my husband says, like, we can go for walks, and by the end of the walk, you're not saying, oh, my poor knee anymore, or icing it or anything. My legs, even though my legs were so weak that I couldn't do more than, 4 of those Bulgarian split squats with no weights. I couldn't do more than 4. They have strengthened just by being able to do those 4. Yeah. And my knee doesn't hurt anymore. So that was excellent. My shoulder, it wasn't the exercises. I don't know what's wrong with my shoulder. It's not damaged either. But since I started doing your mobility exercises, which again I resisted because I'm 50. So if you have to think that, I was an 80s and 90s girl, stretching. Oh, yeah. I love stretching, right? Stretching was my reward for doing my exercises. Yeah. And you were like, yeah, but you got to do mobility. Yeah. So I started incorporating the mobility the way you suggested, because what I liked about you was that you weren't like, no, do it my way. You always tried to work around my sort of, no, I want to keep stretching. Yeah. And so you said to me, okay, go ahead, keep stretching. But between sets, when you have that 60-second or 90-second rest, do a little bit of mobility. And, at first you're like, no, all right. And then you start doing it and you're like, well, that was, that's amazing. That was really good. I feel good. My muscles feel looser. Or not my muscles, I guess my joints feel looser. So I really appreciated that. Somebody who was firm enough and strong enough to, especially with me, stubborn, to say to me, okay, what you're doing isn't wrong, but consider another angle, or consider putting this into it and see how you feel. And if it sucks, don't do it.
No, because this is something like you are stubborn, I'm stubborn as hell as well, and it's same thing with me. Like that's why I try to always like that, because what I have seen is the working the best. What works for me, maybe it's I'm selfishly looking how I am, but if you are stubborn, you know, we have had these kind of habits. I'm not, if somebody is telling me that don't do it if you have done it for your whole life, but then like you said, that if you start adding something different and step by step doing it, and when my goal is to when I get you somehow trying it, and then you start to feel that wow, this is actually making a lot more impact, it feels better, or you get better results than by doing just stretching, then that idea is not anymore coming from me, it's your idea, kind of what you are telling, and then we have it's a lot more likely that you are actually sticking with that plan and not doing yours. I remember when you wrote me and said that don't take my stretching away, I'm doing stretching, and that's the reason why I work out, and I was like that, wow, what could I tell that I said, okay, I can't tell you that you can't stretch anymore, because obviously especially if you enjoy doing it, it's your why or your reason why you are working out, but somehow I thought that we need to get you doing some mobility stuff, what is actually helping a lot more for those issues. And it was kind of same thing with that strength exercises for your legs. So if you have been running, even that running wasn't hurting, but it has been, that is like kind of has been game changer for such many people who have knee issues, because obviously what most people think that when you have a knee problems, for example, that you can't do any leg exercises because your knee is hurting, but there is always a way to work around, like exercises that are not targeting, either you're doing a little bit less weights or something, but when you start doing it, strengthening those muscles around your knees, and then maybe doing some mobility exercises, because knee pain often it's not coming from your knee, it could be the lack of mobility from your ankle or from your hips. So most common is from your ankles, and when you start to implement those things like a mobility exercises, strengthening those muscles, then suddenly you come to a situation like you having that realization that wow, now actually my knee is not bothering me anymore, it's okay, and you are able to do so many other things what you weren't doing before.
Yeah, for sure. I did learn a lot, and you had good tips too. Like one of the tips you gave me for the Bulgarian split squat was to put a wedge underneath my toes, whereas everything else that I've read and watched, it's underneath the heel. And you said no, put it underneath your toes. Huge difference, difference. And those were things that no matter how much research, I mean, maybe eventually I would have found, but exercise is not my passion, so doing research is also difficult.
It takes a lot of, but it's just that, like, you know, obviously Bulgarian split squats, like it's an exercise, by the way, who I don't know anyone who enjoys doing it. So but if it, and it's if it's in my program, I was that no, it never gets easy. But but there is, like, especially for knees, if you do it in a wrong way, or there are ways to put a little bit less impact on your knee. So when you use those, like putting something below your toes, or making sure that your knee kind of stays behind your toes, so you work more on your glutes and put a little bit less pressure on your knee. So it's a great exercise as it's a single leg exercise, and often like those things they just help so much strengthening those muscles. So there were something what I really like that what you already mentioned, kind of that you are doing it your kind of for health, and what is the reason why you are actually doing it. So how your mindset have changed, like not only, it don't have to be now only these 3 months, but earlier, what you said, when you found that what is your why of doing it. Like you said that you don't want to, you saw that your friend got sick, and you said that that's your kind of reason why you are ready to work hard, and why you have been very, very consistent for the past 3 months.
Yeah, and actually the consistency was there before, except that I would find reasons to stop. So, and some reasons are good, like COVID, I had to stop. I have to. My body can't respond. In the summer here now, like for the last 3-4 years, we've been having a lot of smoke from all the forest fires. It's hard to work out during that time because you're breathing shallow and, but we bought air filters. It makes a huge difference. But, it's easy to say, well, it's pretty smoky. I don't think I'm going to work out. It'll be fine, right? Because it's hard. And I remember this from in my 20s, and now I'm 50, and I remember, older people saying, do this, because otherwise when you're older and you're like, yeah, I'm 50. I see my grandma at 80. I'm like, well, there's, I still have 30 years. Like, I have time. But as I've gotten older, I've seen that it is harder to lose weight, and it is harder to do exercise. It's not like when you were 20. Just like when I told you earlier, when I fell and I hurt myself, I fell on the ice. And in my 20s, I'd have gotten back up and shook it off. And now at 50, it's been 3 weeks and my arm still hurts, because I landed on it. So you have to factor that in as much as you don't want to. And those are little things over the 2 years that have sort of kept picking at me. And then when you and I got 3 months together and you taught me not to do it all at once, you taught me that not only are there goals, but there's a journey. My consistency has improved. Not only my consistency, but my desire to work out has gone, it's there now, right? I know that a year ago or before the 3 months, I'd be like, oh, I'm still a little sick. I'm not going to work out. Well, guess what? Tonight, I'm going to go do some weights, some gentle weights. Like you said, take it easy, lighter weights, just keep it going. Showing up is the hardest part. Even if I just go in and stretch. This weekend, I went and did a walk on my treadmill. I wanted to do 5K. I only did 4 because I could feel that my body was like, So I've learned that even though I still don't love exercise, I understand how important it is, not just from having seen my grandmother be miserable in the last few years of her life, but also, like, I've learned that it truly is a journey. As cliche as that sounds, it's just got to be part of your life. You know what? You do the dishes every day. You cook dinner every day. You do laundry every weekend. You do something, anything, right? My husband, we lost our dog in September. He used to take the dog out all the time.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, when you have a dog, that's the contract you're in. You know that your dog is going to go before you. Ever since we lost the dog, my husband has not gone on walks, and he's been more mentally sad, and he's gained weight, and he knows he has to change, and we're considering another dog and everything, but his something is walking the dog. My something is doing weights. Do something, anything. So I've seen people dance. They love to dance. So they dance and they lose all. Great, anything. But it has to be part of your life. You have to make it a part of your life.
Absolutely.